Okay, hey guys, I'm just gonna be making a video on this hog deck because it's really good in my opinion. So I'm just gonna be going over like the strategy and how to use it. So this emulator is pretty laggy, so I apologize for that. But hopefully I can still show you the replays. Okay, so this is the deck. It's basically a quick cycle deck, a hog cycle deck, and it runs on 3.1 elixir cost with an elixir collector. So you know it cycles really fast. You have really cheap cards with the skeletons and ice spear, along with zap and guards. These cards allow you to cycle to whatever card you want, and because you can cycle back to either elixir collector to gain elixir advantage, inferno to defend against like lava hound or giant, or hog rider to just keep pressuring them, or poison I guess. You can basically cycle to whatever card you want in your deck, and that's a problem with a lot of decks that are expensive, is that you can't get to your card that you want. Like a lot of times you want zap. Well, here you can just drop like skeletons, ice spear in the back, and maybe you'll get zap back. So yeah, I've won two 12-win challenges with it, and I've climbed to my all-time high with this deck. So I'm first gonna share a challenge deck, a challenge replay, and then I'll share a ladder replay. So in this replay, we're going against this guy who's at 4K trophies. Okay, so like I said earlier, just jumping into the first replay, we're facing off against this giant poison deck. And let's pause here real quick. So basically with this deck, they want to build up a huge push and basically take your tower by building up one big push, and you want to disallow that by pushing the other lane with your hog rider, and by doing so, you're forcing them to either play like mini P.E.K.K.A, musketeer, or mega minion, and that separates their push. So by doing that, you basically separate their push, and if their push isn't like one huge push, then they actually can't do as much damage. So just starting off, we're just cycling to our elixir collector because we didn't have elixir collector or hog, so that's a pretty bad starting hand. So here he drops his giant, so I have to drop my inferno, and because I played pump, I'm actually at elixir disadvantage, so I'm spamming guards right here. It gets destroyed by the mega minion musketeer, so I drop ice spear and it actually dies, I think, or maybe it took out the mega minion, not sure. So yeah, he did a lot of damage there. So that was a pretty rough start. I shouldn't have played elixir collector, but I got kind of greedy. And I had a really bad starting hand too. So here I have a huge pump advantage, and here he plays musketeer randomly, which is kind of weird because he wants to place elixir collector to gain elixir advantage, but instead he drops two big troops, and now I'm at a huge elixir advantage because I have two collectors down, even though he has half my tower down. I can overwhelm him if he continues to play like this, and right now you can see he has no elixir to defend, and I have enough elixir to play inferno. But actually, I'm slightly late on my guards. I didn't have enough elixir, and his musketeer locks on and takes my tower down to 200. But I also took out half his tower because he couldn't defend against my hog rider. Here I need to cycle to my elixir collector, so perfect that he dropped mega minion. I was going to cycle with it anyway. Here I'm late on my hog rider, and I only get one hit in, so that was pretty bad. I should have waited for my skeletons to block. So here I'm just cycling again to my elixir collector, and he still doesn't play elixir collector, which is really weird because he wants to gain elixir advantage to have a big push, but he just drops giant. And by dropping giant in the bridge, I can just drop hog rider on the other side, and I'm pressuring him, and now he has to drop, look, he's forced to drop musketeer there, and now his musketeer can't help his giant. So, and because he dropped at the bridge, I have a huge elixir advantage, so I can drop inferno, and that takes out his entire giant, and then he can't back it up with anything. So I just melt his giant, and he actually zaps, which is really bad because his giant was dead anyway. He poisons my tower, which pretty much finishes off. I finish off his musketeer with cards. So now I'm just cycling to another hog rider, continuing the pressure. And once he takes his tower, he has to switch lanes, but I'm still fighting on this lane. Like you can see, I place guards on that side, and he has to defend with like mega minion maybe. And I just keep pressuring that side, and he has to defend that side, and unless he's going for the 3 crown, all those troops are basically being wasted because he has to push the other side tower. So he's dropping stuff right there, but that's really bad because he's not going to get to my tower, any tower. And so now with this huge counter push, because I'm on the same lane that I want to attack, I just drop hog rider. I have a huge poison here, and I zap to kill the musketeer, and that poison basically finishes off the mini P.E.K.K.A and the musketeer and leaves him mega minion with like 1 health. So I just cycle to another Hog Rider. I keep pressuring, and he just drops Giant. But because I've Inferno and I put pressure on this side, he can't do anything, and his Giant just dies. So basically, in the end, he couldn't do anything against me. I just kept putting pressure, even though it took like 4 Hog Riders or 3. I just kept putting consistent pressure, and I kept doing chip damage while he couldn't do anything because I was pushing the other side. He couldn't build up a huge push. Okay, so in this replay, we're facing a weird Lava Hound air deck, but it has like Lumberjack, Baby Dragon, Minion Horde in it, and Barbs, so it's like really weird deck, but in ladder you're gonna face these weird decks, but they're probably gonna have higher level troops than you, so you have to learn to play at a elixir or level disadvantage. And I like this deck a lot because you're basically fighting based on strategy or cycling and elixir advantage, and not really based on like brute force like Lava Hound Giant decks. So starting off here, I don't have Elixir Collector, but I have Hog as my next card. So basically, I want to wait for enough elixirs so that I can play Barbs or Poison as well, in case he has Mini Horde or Barbs. So here's a weird interaction here. I drop Hog and Ice Spirit, but he drops Lumberjack minions. So I drop Ice Spirit that freezes the minions, and then I drop Fire Spirits, which takes it out. And my Hog already gets a few hits. I drop Guards, which was really bad here because his Lumberjack maybe would have got 1 hit. So I wasted 3 elixir for like 200 damage. I don't think that's worth. So here I got greedy and pumped up, but then I got really lucky with my Ice Spirit, and I got 5 of the minions with Zap. Or I got 5 of the minions with Ice Spirit and zapped all 6 of them. So I got really lucky there. I should have just played Poison. So here he zaps my Fire Spirits, so I don't do any damage. And here's a big mistake. I should have poisoned, but I dropped Guards instead because I thought it was 1 elixir cheaper. But if you watch my tower, it's at 24-23. And then he gets like a few barb hits, but they do so much damage. Level 10 barbs, 500 damage, 1901 now. So now I know he has minions and barbs, so I need to save up for poison when I go with my Hog Rider. So I go in right now because he just wasted 6 elixir. He drops Minion Horde, and I drop my poison, which takes it all out for a huge value. So now I drop Inferno for the Lava Hound, and he has Baby Dragon. And here he didn't have enough elixir for Zap, so he should have gave up the Inferno or the Lava Hound, but he zaps and he wastes 2 elixir. So the Baby Dragon gets 2 hits off, but that's minimal damage. I'm still up right now. So now I drop Hog Rider or Fire Spirits, and with Poison, that takes out his Barbs for insane value again. Because he wasted Zap, like I said, on my Inferno, which he didn't need to. And now I just cycle to another Hog Rider because of how these cheap troops. And look at that. The Fire Spirits take out the Minion Horde, and the Skeleton's Guards, Hog Rider, just murder the tower. So that's cycling. That's the cycling for you that you can see. He wasted Zap earlier, so he didn't have him for my Inferno. And yeah, that's basically a game. So we basically won that game because of our cycling. He had counters, but we just outcycled him with our Fire Spirits and basically took his tower, even though he had higher level troops.